we are finally here. The last of the leaders of each hold video. Today we are doing the leaders of Riften. Now Riften its history is relatively unknown up until the Second Era, when the second invasion of the Akviri occurred in 572 of the Second Era. Riften would then go on to join the Ebonheart Pact with the rest of Eastern Skyrim not long after. Perhaps why Riften's history remained unknown was because by 582 of the Second Era it was still a small trading post, and at the same time the Worm Cult was ravaging the Rift Hold and soon attacked the town itself. Riften at this time wasn't ruled by a Jarl either, but most likely a council of prominent families or thanes. The Pocket Guide to the Emperor, the first edition, refers to this idea that some holds were governed by these councils, so without a known Jarl in ESO at the time, it seems likely that Riften maybe was governed by one of these councils or was subordinate to another hold within Skyrim. It's likely that if it was a council, that Thane Snelgar was one of these council members before their death in 582 of the Second Era. They lived in Mistvale Mansion and then were selling it by the time 582 of the Second Era rolled around. Now, it would also make sense that maybe the Thanes of other areas, ruling other areas like in Fort Greenwall, maybe even Iverstead, I don't know if they had a Thane at the time, and then like I said earlier, Mistvale Keep would also be these rulers. That's hence why I said that it's possible that Thanes governed this as well. Now, the first recorded leader we get of Riften comes from the early Third Era, when we get King Bias, who oversaw Riften's rivalry with Windhelm. Then we get, in 98 of the Fourth Era, there was an unnamed Jarl who was assassinated during a period of decline in the city of Riften. That same year, Husgun Crossed Daggers was named Jarl, and he was a brutal man, using the guard to kill dissenters and rivals. He enacted curfews, high taxes, and overly strict punishments. By the time 129 of the Fourth Era came around, the people were sick of Husgun's rules and eventually set his castle on fire. However, it spread across the city and reduced it to rubble and ruin. Although it was rebuilt roughly 5 years later, it was a shadow of its former self. Then we get in 201 of the Fourth Era Layla Lawgiver, who was known for essentially supporting Ulfric Stormcloak during Skyrim's Civil War, and essentially kind of continuing this time of relative decline with the refusal to acknowledge that the Thieves Guild was a threat to Riften's security and prosperity. Now, if the Empire reclaims Riften during the Skyrim Civil War, Maven Blackbriar will then become Jarl of the city. Now, this is the conclusion of the Leaders of Skyrim video, or series, I guess, but I am willing to do more leaders outside of Skyrim, maybe going even into Morrowind, or potentially Blackmarsh or Cyrodiil. I would love to go into those areas and analyze the leaders as well, or all the known leaders of cities in that as well. Now, it's interesting enough that we kind of end in Riften, because Riften is kind of bittersweet, in a way. Riften is a major hold by the end of 201 of the Fourth Era, and yet its history is stuck with all this chaos, ruin, and despair going on. It was never really able to achieve greatness because it kept getting hindered by so much outside of its own control. And yet, there was so much within its control that also held it back. So, while we end this series, it may seem bittersweet, we also picked the right city to do and conclude with, because it is also a very bittersweet ending with that as well. But regardless of which, I might be talking nonsense. I hope you all enjoyed this series. This series was a lot of fun to do. It spanned 9 weeks doing each, actually 8 because we skipped Morthal, because we really only know one ruler, and that is the ruler of Morthal. I can't even think of her name. And then if we potentially 2, because then when the Stormcloaks take control, we get that ruler as well. But with that, I hope you all enjoyed this series. I'm going to start looking into others as well, especially since I was really interested in doing this one. I probably will look into Morrowind next, or maybe Cyrodiil. But then we also have other series as well coming in. We have the Dwemer Ruined Cities videos coming out, and then I have a couple other ideas that I also want to crank out as well. But with that, Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you all in the next video, and hopefully the Discord chat. Peace. If you enjoyed, please like this video because it really lets me know you're enjoying this content. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The links are right here for you to click on, and the Discord chat link is right here as well. And overall, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.